It is a learning experience. It's one in which we have incredible remorse for. Silvio certainly is, he's crushed by it. He's a terrific young man that made an awful emotional decision, and fortunately he was able to kind of get his composure back before it escalated. But still, we take responsibility for the role in which we played and what transpired on Tuesday. We're not going to hide from it or make excuses, regardless of what all transpired. But the bottom line is there's been a lot of talk, but this is something that had nothing to do with competition. This was something that has to do with embarrassment, pride, ego, and certainly has no place in the game. And our players understood that beforehand. We stress that, I guarantee you, as much as anybody does. But during a situation in which it seemed like everything that could possibly go wrong in a 5 to 7 second window went wrong, caused that to escalate. But there's still no excuse for it. We'll learn from it, we'll talk about it, and somehow Silvio will use this in a way to help him move forward, and also hopefully help others move forward and how to deal with emotion and stuff like that when that feeling does come across you.
So you recruited Silvio here. What do people need to know about Silvio de Sousa that goes beyond of that video that transpired?
Well, people are going to have opinions based on what they initially see. The thing about it is, and I totally understand that. Silvio is one of the nicest young men we've recruited since we've been here. I think people that have come in contact with him, especially the media here, would echo those statements because of the grace and the class that he's shown since he's been here, dealing with some adverse conditions that up until Tuesday night had nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with adults, with the NCAA. So I believe that he's conducted himself in a way that people know this is not his character. People know that this is not who he is as a man. Certainly doesn't excuse what transpired. And I feel for him. I can be mad at him. I can be, say things to him that in the privacy of a room that no one here will ever be privy to, nor should they be. But I know this: if my son or daughter makes a bad emotional decision or mistake, I know one thing: I'm not going to quit loving him, and he's ours, and I'm proud that he is, and so it's something that he'll deal with this for, you could say, a long time. Some people have put it out there, he'll deal with this the rest of his life, that could be the image you see with him. Who knows? I certainly don't believe that to be true, but I think it will be a lasting image for our program and for him for a long time. And I know that it's not anything that we're proud of, but all we can do is try to be the best we can moving forward, and that's what we're going to attempt to be, and he will certainly lead the way in us being that.
I know you said Tuesday that it was one-way conversation with you and your players. That was shot to him more.
Oh yeah. What, the thing about it is with things like this that are emotional, there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions by a coach, by an individual, by a fan, by a media person on what they see, which is that's what you have to go off of. And the one thing that has happened with us is the fact that since this occurred, my stance has not changed whatsoever. I'm embarrassed. I think it's bad for our sport. I think there's so many things that are negative with it. I feel like that even though you could look at it, we had 5 coaches out there trying to get in the middle of it, trying to break it up or whatever. But this happened under my watch, which I am in many ways responsible for any actions of anybody under my watch. And so, that's disappointing and hard to deal with. But you also catch your breath, evaluate all the film, work with your administration, work with the Big 12 office in a way that is 1,000% cooperative, and you deal with it. You know, being a coach, it just isn't about peaks; it's about valleys too. And certainly that was a low point, and you know, I accept that, and we'll grow from it. And I'm very thankful, more than anything else, that it did not escalate where it could have been worse, because it obviously could have been. Thankful nobody got hit. Thankful that you know, it didn't become something more, even though there was a lot of activity. We're fortunate that there wasn't, you know, more things happen. But and I'm also very thankful of the people that jumped in there to make sure it didn't escalate any further. But it was a emotional decision that was made in a time where I don't think people were thinking. I think people were reacting, and certainly that's something you can't do as an individual. You always have to have your head about yourself.
Have you had conversations with David, and I guess what do you expect it to look like without him the next couple of games?
Yeah, I've talked to everybody. I mean, we're not hiding from talking to our guys. And yeah, I'm disappointed for David. David's in the same mold as Silvio. You guys know him. He's fabulous. And he was in a situation where he thought he was protecting his teammate. Thank goodness he didn't, you know, throw or do something like that. But his involvement was an aggressive nature there at the end, and so running up on him. So I thought that you know, I hate to say this, I thought he got what he deserved too. But he'll learn from it. But our team will be shorthanded. But to me, that's not the big picture. This is bigger than your team being shorthanded for 2 games. This is how you're going to react to somehow make a negative situation at least less negative, because I'm not sure you can make it positive, but you can certainly make it less negative by your reactions and how you handle yourself moving forward. And Dave and Silvio will be perfect doing that in their own regard. But you know, how we play for 2 games, that doesn't register with me right now. We're not going to change how we play. We're going to play with 1 big most of the time anyway. So the one thing I would say, let's hope Doak doesn't get in foul trouble. That would probably be the one thing.
How do you make it less negative? I mean, have you given much thought to that? I mean, it's hard to do, isn't it?
I don't think that. I think there's a way you can do that over time. It's not, you know, we're not going to make it less negative today or tomorrow, but there's a way that you know, things can occur over time through involvement maybe with others and talking to others, and certainly how you represent our place even more so, because it'll be more magnified now than ever. You know, it's with the stuff that we've had going on, and two of the things that two of the 3 things we have going on, our players have not had one thing to do with it. Our players didn't have one thing to do with Snoop Dogg. You know, that was an administrative decision. Our players didn't have one thing to do with the NCAA. You know, that was adults. You know, and you could say, well, that's on us. That will all play out to determine what the facts are about that. Our players had something to do with this, and we have to own it. And certainly, they will be painted with the brush of what has happened. I hate that they may be painted with the brush of things that they've had nothing to do with, but that's the reality of today's time, and obviously how our sport is covered. One reason why you come to Kansas is to be in the show, be in the game, to be in a situation where everything's magnified, where you play games of the highest magnitude, and when you do that, you also have coverage of the highest magnitude too. So when those things happen, that's what you hope for. Well, there's also responsibility that goes along with that. And I think for the most part, our players up until Tuesday have done a pretty good job. For the most part, always ups and downs, always. And I'm not saying we haven't had our issues, like every program in the country, and our issues have been very public, to be quite candid with you, over time. But the thing about it is, what happened the other night, we accept responsibility for the role we played, and we have to be better.